today.
We're on. We're good to
We're on
go.
them. Okay, so hello everyone. Welcome to part 2 of our Lunch and Learn series with Tamara McCaffrey from Lawyer Strong. I last time introduced Tamara, but just to make sure it's because some of you may not have joined us last time.
That's too
I'm not
long to
going to
read
read the
that.
whole thing. Tamara thinks it's too long, but she is the director of Lawyer Strong. I can tell you that Tamara has a long history practicing as a lawyer in a number of different areas. But she, after being a mom and staying home to take care of her kids and then returning to work, has now pulled back and is doing Lawyer Strong full time because she recognizes the value in it to help the legal profession. So with that, I will pass it on to Tamara.
Thank you.
And we are recording.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And Catherine, do you still have access to that PowerPoint presentation I sent you guys? No rush. It's all good. All good. Okay, so
Let me know when you want to share the screen to have this. Do you want it shared now or do you want? Okay,
yeah, share.
Give me 1 sec, everyone. I'm just going to start the slideshow.
Yes, please.
And then share our screen, and we should be good to go.
Thank you. Love that.
Share. There we are.
Perfect. You can start.
Yeah. Should come up.
Yeah.
Oh, why did that not come up? Give me 1 sec. I'm just trying to start the slideshow here. Oh.
Good. Your donations support our worldwide community. Yes, okay. Nobody's asking any articling students to donate to Lawyer Strong, so you're all okay. I can't even get lawyers to donate to lawyers. No, I can't. Some do. We applied to be a charity, so.
Can someone online let me know if you can see the blue page for Lawyer Strong?
Say yes loudly.
Anyone online? You have to unmute yourselves.
I can just see the room.
Sorry, pardon? Just see the room only?
Yeah, I can see everybody there in the room.
Okay, hold on. The screen is not.
Yeah, waving. That's about it.
Okay. Good to see you too.
Why the screen share? This one share. Okay, can you now see the screen that has the blue Lawyer Strong on it?
Love that. Thriving under pressure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now it's up.
Okay, give me 1 sec here. I'm not sure why it's sharing it properly.
I know.
Okay, you can start talking.
There we go. These are secondary to, why is this changing by itself? The slides are secondary. They're things to actually kind of help me remember what I want to say, but also just to give you guys something to look at other than like me when we're talking. Okay, so just a little recap. Most of you were here last week. And so we talked about our why, right? Our why, our purpose, and what the heck we're doing here. And everybody went around and shared that. And we also talked about what we were finding challenging. And there was some overlap and commonality, and there were some differences too. And so that in that way, we were doing something that actually builds resilience to the pressure. And what we were doing there was building relationships in a real way. And research supports over and over.
There is some.
Can you mute yourself, please?
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Totally busted. It's okay. We don't know who you are though, so it's okay.
I think everybody else is muted. Yeah, looks to be.
Okay. I'll give a nice to see you. Nice to see everybody. So I'm just recapping what we talked about as our why. And so research tells us that this actually helps. What helps lawyers thrive under pressure with these demands, these kind of, sometimes you work longer hours, sometimes shorter, the ebbs and flows of life and the practice. Relationships are really one of the #1 things. So you don't need a million, but you need a few good ones. And we talked about giving each other and ourselves grace, benefit of the doubt, compassion, patience. Okay, so that's kind of a recap. I asked everybody to go away and just kind of set a little goal for themselves to practice in the next week. Just to see about taking care of themselves in some way. So what I'd like to do is, instead of starting with that, I'm going to end with that, if that's okay, and see how it went. And anybody who wants to can share. And I know, Bharat, you're joining us for the first time, so that's okay. By the way, what you shared with me, one of the challenges you have is like being on call and managing files and you know, the pressure, the pace, right? The volume it's a lot. You're like, when I first walked in as an articling student, you know, someone said, hey, or not as an articling student, but law student, like my first time in court, hi, could you just remand this for me? I thought, geez, I don't even know what a remand is. Now you're all experts at remands. And are you doing bails?
I'm not, I'm doing family.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's all, anyway, it's all, you get to be experts. You get to know that section, those sections of the criminal code very, very well. And, but yeah, so what are you finding, like, what's your why? Like, why did you go into law?
Wanted to help people.
Mhm.
I wanted a profession where I could learn pretty much every day,
Yeah.
learn something new. That's one thing that I've even like, I did an externship before with Legal Help Center. And I was like, oh, I have a pretty good understanding of what, like how law works. And I was completely wrong about that. And there are, like you mentioned, there are terms that I learn every day. I'm like, I don't even know what that was like last week.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, get a recog from the court. I'm like, I don't even know what that is. So just the ability to learn every day, being around people that are quite smarter than me and learning from them and building connections and helping the client side at the end of the day. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you sure picked a great profession
Yeah.
for that. I never stopped learning. And in fact, this is my retirement job, being the peer support founding director of this program. I was the lucky one that got to do that. But I tell you what, I still am learning all the time. Just now I'm learning about wellness instead of law. But your entire career, as long as you practice, let me tell you, you can always learn. It's one of the best things about the job. And boy, you really can help people. But we're going to talk about how the desire to help people, which often does bring people into this kind of work, can also impact you in a way that you can get kind of, your heart gets worn out. And so we're going to talk about that. It's called compassion fatigue is a word for it. So we'll talk about that today too. Okay. So thank you for sharing that. I'm going to do this. That didn't do anything. So then I'm going to go like this. No, because that's my computer. What am I doing? Okay. All right. Trauma-informed practice. Let's skip ahead to the next one.
Pass this. Okay, sorry, I just went backwards there. That was me.
The blind leading the blind here. Okay, here we go. Trauma-informed practice. This is what I'm so excited to talk to you guys about today. So, does anyone, you know, last week we talked a little about how trauma can show up in practice. So we're going to talk a little bit about that again. But this slide is sort of talking to you about why you want to become trauma informed. Does anyone think that this is a very lofty goal because of the incredibly short amount of time you have with clients sometimes? Like, does anyone have to like meet a client just before you're walking into court?
Sometimes
First time?
sometimes in court.
Sometimes in court, yeah. Okay, so don't give up on trauma-informed practice when that's what happened, because sometimes that is what happens, especially if it's a remand or a remand, by the way, if you don't know somehow, is just when we adjourn it. Someone has a court date, but we're not doing anything with it today. There's not going to be a plea entered, or there's not going to be a speak to sentence, or maybe a plea's entered and a trial date set, but not too much is happening. Like it's not the trial, okay, or something more serious. Bail applications, on the other hand, meeting them for the first time is pretty much normal. When you get a call and you have to go down and see everybody that's in line for their bail application, they've been arrested overnight. And so trauma-informed practice, actually, you may think, well, how the heck are we gonna, what am I doing here? I've got like 10 minutes, I have to meet this person and build trust and do. So as I talk to you about all these things, please don't tune me out, because even if it's not possible in every instance, being aware of these things will filter into your consciousness, and it will start to affect how you show up, even when you're showing up for the first time, and meeting someone for the first time going to court. So, and also it can drive our why and lead us, and you, by us, I mean you, who are the future leaders of this profession, by the way, to continue to evolve our legal system so that it can do what it can in the most humane way, which I think is good for everybody, including how we look to society, that we really exist to serve. Like, we're here to serve. So it can enhance your job satisfaction, and it does also help prevent burnout. Why does it help prevent burnout? Does anyone have any ideas? Why? Okay, no worries. There's no wrong answers, but one of the ways that actually helps with resilience and preventing burnout is because when you have meaningful work, it connects to your why. So if you're trauma informed, it can help you show up in a more compassionate way and do no harm. Okay, the fundamental principle of trauma informed is do no harm. So you try and show up in a compassionate, peaceful, empathetic way, and that can help give you more satisfaction. You can't control the result, guys. You can't control the outcome. You can only control how you show up and do your job for every client and people that you interact with as you're taking applications and phone calls. Okay, let's talk about signs of trauma. Okay, recurrent and intrusive memories of the event. Something keeps coming back to you. So if something upsetting, not everything shows up this way. Like, actually, people that experience trauma, and there's a study that I read about that absolutely found this: children who experience trauma as adults are more resilient, higher achieving in many situations. So it's not like it's over, we've got trauma. It's not like that. Having said it, you're helping people that have perhaps experienced a lifetime of trauma, not just a one-off, but and also very resilient, surviving people that will talk about humility in a minute, how we can and should try and learn from everybody. But these are things that can show up. And so I'm just going to go back for a second. So if you guys find in your own self, when we think about trauma, we're going to think about how it might show up in a client, but I want you to be aware of how it actually can show up with you. And one of the ways it can show up is you wake up in the middle of the night, or you're thinking, or you can't sleep, and you're playing it back in your head over and over again, something, because you're going to hear some really tough stuff, like really some very challenging situations. And it may bring up stuff for you. It may be that you've experienced something in your life that's like, it's kind of reminding you of. So you just notice. Noticing is the key. Talking to someone about it when you need to is also very helpful. Writing about it, things like that. So paying attention to this yourself. You don't want it to go on too long. You have a rough day in court or something you've seen. It's like, wow, that's going to stay with you. Normal. If it continues though for a few weeks now and it's affecting your sleep, these are times where it's time to talk about it. And also, avoidance behaviors can show up with our clients too. And you may want to avoid a file, and you may find yourself procrastinating a lot, like putting something off, because that's a coping mechanism. It's a coping mechanism. It's a survival mechanism. It's not necessarily the best one though, and it can actually be really frustrating. It can be frustrating for a lawyer in two ways. One, if the client is avoiding coming in and not showing up for meetings, or not telling you something that would be so helpful, and you've met the client 3 times and you've never heard anything about this, and suddenly it's coming out now. for the first time. And that might be so frustrating. You may not understand. Why is this happening? I'm trying to help. You gotta tell me this stuff like weeks ago. It's gonna happen too, I guarantee it. But not because they're trying to be difficult or just like, you might feel frustrated, but I want you to try and keep compassion and space and curiosity, because remember, avoiding something is definitely a survival strategy sometimes. Okay. So thinking about changes in, back for a minute, thinking or mood. So just thinking about how we're showing up for the client, how we're thinking about the client. Okay, so you want to think about people in a positive way, but also, or even a neutral way. But watch out for your stereotypes and your biases, of which we all have them. Okay, pay attention to that too. You're gonna have it happening, and you're not intending to have that, but you have biases. We have them. Part of being human. And so what we do is we learn to notice them. Watch your assumptions, show up in an open kind of way. Notice, like we talked about irritability and angry outbursts, aggressive behavior, right? Last week we did. And sometimes people are freaking out and they're really taking it out on you. And that's not okay. But having said it, it's happening. Probably not because of you, but because of trauma. And so you can see this stuff and you can see these emotions, and nobody's showing up. No human being shows up as their best self if we're not sleeping, because maybe we can't sleep because of what's happening in our minds. And also if we've experienced something really traumatic and we haven't had a space to work through that. Okay, so just keeping in mind, and you'll know, for some of you in legal aid, there's child protection work, and you may see children acting out things, and you may see this in a file with some of the work that you do, and it can show up in that way. It can go down and it can flare up like later. So this is just different things just to look out for. And the reason I'm outlined, that's okay. And the reason that you need to notice it is that it's going to happen. You might feel it. You can have vicarious trauma. We haven't talked about that too much yet, but that is something that can give you like a secondary type of trauma. What challenges can trauma create in delivery of legal services? Can anybody, I don't think the Slido is going to work unless it's on every single computer. I know we did it last year and somehow it did work with people's phones, but so I'm not going to worry about the tech here. It is kind of fun when it creates a fun word cloud, but I don't see a QR code here on the slide either. So don't worry about it. What kind of challenges can trauma create in the delivery of legal services? You can put it in the chat, folks, if you're online. And Catherine's going to have a look at that for me, or she's going to show it for us. And anybody here, what kind of challenges would you say it could create? Anyone? Have anyone seen anything? Have you had an experience? Okay.
Lack of communication between the client and the lawyer.
Yeah, hard on the communication to the client and the lawyer. What way would it affect the communication?
Like oftentimes trauma, if the client doesn't want to talk about it, they'll just avoid talking about it. So they might not even bring up past trauma that might be pertinent to their lawyer.
Yeah, for sure. We talked about avoidance. Anything else anybody can think of? I know we talked about aggression too.
Okay, I guess you mentioned it, but avoidant behavior could also be true on behalf of the lawyer. Like you can procrastinate something or some filing of a thing or any email you have to send because you think I'm not going to make them happy or I'm going to make someone mad.
Yep. Yeah. I'm going to give you a hack for that. We all do it. Like it's a coping mechanism to avoid the stressful file. But you know what happens when we avoid anything?
Makes it harder.
The longer we leave it, the more it builds up. It's like a messy room. You toss the jacket on the floor. You could pick it up right now, or you'll do it later. Now you're tossing some books over here. You'll clean up later. We procrastinate a little bit. Suddenly, what might take 2 minutes is now going to take you an hour to tidy up the place. So if you think about it in that kind of way, it's the same thing with your files. You leave it, those deadlines are going to sneak up on you. And guess what? You might be good. You might be planning for a deadline. You're good to go. And guess what happens? It will happen. Something you didn't plan for. That's what's going to happen. Hey, now you have to run to court and do this. You didn't book that time. You didn't think that was happening. It's happening. And now the time you left yourself has been eroded by something else. And now you really don't have much extra time. So a hack for the procrastination is put that timer on for 15 minutes each day. And even if the first day, the first 5 minutes is you looking at the file and making a list, a checklist for yourself that you're now pinning to the file or somewhere where you can access it. And you spend 15 minutes working through that a day or 10, doesn't matter, or half an hour, doesn't matter, whatever you have, it doesn't matter. The point is taking a step on the file each day is better, way better than waiting till you have that mythical period of time where you're fresh and you have office time. Because your office time is probably going to become at the end of the day after court. And then I remember you're tired. So do think about small steps when you're wanting to procrastinate on something. Those are the files you want to do first. Whenever you're strongest in the day. I'm a morning person, so my worst phone calls or the hardest things, I'm going to get those suckers done first. And then the rest of the day gets a little bit easier. So just a couple of hacks for you there, okay? So also notice guarding and defensiveness we're not in sync here. Is this changing by itself?
Well, if you hit it 3 times, I think it catches up and does it 3.
Okay, I don't know how to turn it back. Anyway, whatever. So, okay, so we talked about warning signs. How do you know if you should take action to improve your well-being? You can leave it. Good now. Okay. So when you are not sleeping, that's something that you must pay attention to, folks. You must pay attention to it now and then. Sure. I picked my son up at the airport. It was 1:45 this morning. That's what time he got in. I'm still here. It's okay. But can I do that a few nights in a row? No, I can't. And nor can you. So do pay attention to how you're feeling. If you're feeling hopeless, if you're feeling like, this is brutal, I came here to help people and I don't feel like, I don't know if I'm helping, and maybe it's not an outcome that you want. I remember doing a trial. I was pregnant. 30-day trial. And I did some really good legal work in that trial. I kept an expert out. I did some good stuff, but guess what? That client was still convicted. I took it hard. I cried. I had a little cry. It took me a while to get past the fact that I didn't win that trial. I was young. Now I know better. We don't get, of course we're human. We want to win the thing. Like, it's not like you can turn that off, but you can let go of that attachment to the result, because guess who's the decider? It isn't you, it's the judge. Somebody else does that job. So helping to keep that limit for yourself is very helpful. Like, just your job is to show up, to be prepared. That's your job, to be competent and prepared, know your area, and show up in a compassionate way. And then you just do your best. We're not ever going to hit perfection. You never will. You'll have perfect moments, but you won't have perfect perfection. Like, that's the best we can do. So paying attention to that. When you feel exhausted and hopeless because it's not working out, I sort of digress there because I remember feeling that way when I didn't get a result I wanted. I was too attached to the result. And that result, you take it to heart, like as if we're God or something. And sometimes we want to save people. And I've lost sleep worrying about clients' well-being. They've been suicidal, perhaps, and I can't control everything. at all. In fact, what I can control is how I show up and work I put into the file. And that's it. And so it's something you may have to learn it today, but don't worry, you'll get lots of practice learning it throughout your whole career. Because when I went through the burnout that I went through, I had been a lawyer for many, many years. So just keeping these things in mind. Workload demands. So billing pressures, legal aid doesn't have the same billing pressures that you have in private practice. Billable hours are a real stressor for folks in private practice if they're working in people-based work. I'm talking about family law here. I'm talking about wills and estates. I'm talking about criminal law for sure, and civil litigation. These are working for people that generally don't have a lot of money for lawyers. So you have billing pressures. And guess what? You might put in so much time in the file. When we say the file can't bear it, the client can't afford it. And that's hard too, especially if you're a perfectionist, because you really want to put in like extra time. This was my personality, and do like this ridiculously awesome job and then bill them for just like, a fraction of the time, because that's kind of all they can manage. And that's all lovely and noble, except for if you're working in a firm, which many of you will. You won't all stay at legal aid. You know what? There's pure and simple economic realities there, and you have to bill. So there's ways to hack the billing too, by the way, but it is a stressor. In your case, it's demands, workloads, demands. You have volume, and I know they're very supportive at legal aid. You actually are articling an amazing organization, which is awesome, but the demands are there. Emotional demands, the highest emotional demands, criminal, family, civil litigation's right behind them, wills and estates right behind that. Higher emotional demands, people who want to help people, compassionate people, greater risk of secondary trauma and compassion fatigue. Okay, it's just human. It's just the way it is. That's not a bad thing, because guess what the flip side of compassion fatigue is? Does anyone know? Compassion satisfaction. So people that do come to it with that purpose, you know what? It's meaningful work, for Pete's sakes. It's important, necessary, difficult, challenging, meaningful work. Okay. So let's talk about, so this slide is talking about the things that can throw you off, and the difficulty balancing work and life is something that will flare up and go down throughout your career, I would think. Okay. And you get the best thing you can do to balance it is what we talked about last week. Bharat, I know you weren't here, but we talked about boundaries. We talked about assertiveness. And I talked to you about that Legal Health Center. And I'll keep talking about it forever, because it's easy to kind of keep forgetting them. So I keep reminding. Boundaries and assertiveness. When we are not feeling great, okay, and plus something can happen in your personal life, do not think for a minute that if something happens in your personal life that you're a automaton and should just be showing up and working as if nothing ever happened. Some of you are going to do that anyhow, but sooner or later it's going to catch up with you. So we're not talking weakness here. We're talking being smart and proactive about our health. If someone passes away and you're working, you're like, guess what? It's like, it's going to affect you, and it should affect you because you're human. So nobody's expecting people to not be human here, but if they are, that's not a great place to work. Okay. And communication is key. I'm just going to share a quick story. A colleague that I have, who's one of our volunteers, when he was articling, his cancer came back. And he's like, how the heck am I going to get through this? I have to go to chemo, go to the office. And he didn't even tell people for a while. He was afraid, like he was letting them down. He was afraid they wouldn't give him work. He was just afraid how they would react. He would have a different story now, and he does when he comes to talk to people about it. He's still here wonderfully 20 years later, really appreciating the medical treatments that he has access to. But that's what he was facing when he was articling. And he just thought, how am I going to pull this off? So he would literally go to chemo and go back to the office and not tell anybody. he would tell you now, don't do that. Okay, so when I say life and hard things happen, the best thing he would say is to do if something like that happens to you, and it can happen to anybody or someone you care about, tell people. Tell your workplace, give people the chance to be there for you, and give them the benefit of the doubt. You might be afraid they're going to just like, we have no time for that, but they really shouldn't react like that. And many times I think you will receive compassion is what I would expect you would perceive. So keep those things in mind. Let's talk about your trauma-informed interview. And again, some of this isn't going to be possible for every client interaction in the legal aid, criminal justice system. Okay, so I'm not trying to say, give you these great ideas, and then you're like, well, this is depressing because I can't. That doesn't work in the system. Remember, who's going to be leading this system? You people are. Nobody talked about trauma-informed practice 10 years ago, even. Oh, we just started talking about it 5 years ago, 3 years ago. So who's changing things? It's going to be you people. So think about when you can do it, okay? And creating a calm private space is something usually you should be able to pull off even at the remand center. Okay, it's not very calm. Okay, it's a drag and there's a security guard nearby, but there is some privacy. But try and bring the calm in with you. If you can't set up the lighting, a little aromatherapy, okay, no problem. You bring the calm. Like you just do what you can do. Ask permission to ask questions. So how about that? Turn towards the trauma if you're seeing signs of trauma, to try and ask, what's happening for them now. And that might diffuse it. If someone's getting quite aggressive with you, you might say, geez, I'm really hearing like, you're upset. Damn right, I'm upset. You're angry, you're scary. It's just, and I've used this technique and I've seen the air go right out of the balloon. Sometimes it works. It actually can transform a little bit, meeting that with some compassion. And that doesn't mean you just roll over and say, oh, it's not that. You're hearing them. They're expressing some emotion. And so trying to be the calm and being curious. Someone might treat you badly and you may think, what a F sharp, curse, and we all do it. I still do it. And I have all this knowledge. I feel you can still do it because that's our emotions first. But then we take a break from those emotions with a nice deep breath. And then we go back to curiosity. Remember last week we said, we don't know what we don't know. We don't know. So try and turn towards it. Try and understand the circumstances. Ask questions. And then what about the process? You don't have very much time. You're going into court. You're meeting the client for the first time. You don't have much time. So you can't take, we're not talking an hour session here. And by the way, lawyers aren't therapists. You don't have to be therapists. That's not what I'm talking about asking questions, being empathetic. It's about creating a space where it's just calmer. But you can ask at least what their understanding of the process is. They may actually know the process better than you. And some of them will. I bet you've met clients like that already, have you? They're like, no, that means this. I had that experience with teenagers when I started as a lawyer. Yes. And they would be like, no, they knew something that I hadn't yet learned because they've been learning on the street. And so definitely ask about what their understanding the process is. And then if they don't really if they never, just take a minute, and explain the process in a way that you as calmly as you can. Check in. Are you getting it? Is this making sense? Because we talk in our legal words and we may think this is super clear communication and it's not. So check in, keep it simple, but don't patronize, keep it simple, but give them the facts. What would the client need to help them through the process and what are they worried about? When you have time and you have that process, say you're going to be taking someone to a trial or a speak to sentence, or, you know, even bail applications that can be handy, like what they would need. You know, that is kind of one of the questions you need to ask, especially if they need somewhere to go and they don't have a address. And it's pretty hard to get released on bail without an address. And that is why sometimes people are kept in custody, not because of the offense per se, but they don't have anywhere to go. So it's kind of a combination of factors, not quite so simplistic. But just what would they need? What would be helpful for them? So yes, you know the resources, you get in touch, you're getting to know the different programs, you're getting to know who to talk to help get clients into programs. And these senior lawyers, they know everybody. So get to know everybody, get to know the victim witness support staff too, just get to know everybody so you can connect them and have those good relationships. That will help. But definitely ask the client what they would need, what would be helpful for them. Don't forget, try and ask that one. And they may not be expecting that, and they may not know, but you know, wow, the fact that you asked them. So you can do that. You can ask them what they would like to see happen. I want to stay out of jail. Sure. Like, yeah. But you can ask them to tell you that. What would you like to see happen? Yeah, you want to stay out of jail. What would you like to do to stay out of jail? What do you think's next? Like, these things can help with the speak to sentence and a bail application. You know, all of these things. If you're taking something to a trial, what are the clients, like what does the client need to get through the super, super stressful process? And disconnecting from the emotions, you know, which is what we were taught to do in law school, I think. We now know that we don't need to do that. We can bring compassion into the room, and it does not affect our analytical abilities. It doesn't, as long as we keep our boundaries and remember where our role starts and finishes as a lawyer. Okay. And so all these things are ways that you can create a more of a connection and build trust in a trauma-informed way. And it's hard because you're going to feel time pressure, and sometimes you won't have very much time. Don't beat yourself up when you don't have time. Just whatever time you have, offer what you can offer in that time. And so when you have more time, you can do more of this. But understanding what they would find as helpful is super important. And remember that we're the healers of society, you know. Yeah, do we fight for our clients? Yeah, we do fight for them. But we're the healers of society, because if we don't have a legal system and a system of rights and respect and certain protocol, people are just duking things out. It's all crazy stuff, like all the crazy stuff you see on TV all the time. Like, that's not how we solve problems with violence. We're here to not do that. And in that way, the better we get at understanding people will help the better we are at connecting with them and bringing forward a better result. If you treat somebody with dignity and respect, they won't forget you. Well, they might. Actually, they can forget you, but they might not. And you won't know who you affect like that. Like, I had a client, you know, I represent them, and I was just a very young lawyer, from articling student and young lawyer. And, you know, that I did what I could and hoped for the best, and, you know, had a good rapport. Years later, if someone calls you back, like years, and wants to talk about something, and then we'll say, you know, one client told me, you know, I named my daughter after you because she was pregnant and I was pregnant at the same time when I was representing her. So this is like 20 years later. You wouldn't even know. Like, it's not like the legal result was some wonderful thing, but there was humility, I can say, on my part. I could feel the intelligence and power of this woman who'd never even had an opportunity to have an education past grade 5. But I could feel that this was a person whose intellect surpassed my own, and you could feel that the dignity and strength in the room. And I guess she must have felt that from me. Like, I respected her, and we were on different sides of the table because we were born into different circumstances, basically. At the end of the day, we're the same age. So look at that. And when you think about empowering and engaging the client in the process, that's what you're doing. You're asking them, what do you understand about this process? What do you have any questions? What would be helpful for you? Do you need a support person to come with you? Like this, and get them to try and identify things that you can modify. There's lots of things you can't. Okay. So it's just creating whatever little tiny space it is to have them say what they need and what they hope and what they're worried about and what they don't understand. In that tiny little way, you do make a little difference, you know? And then again, the boundaries. Just remember, boundaries don't mean you don't care, but you do have to shut it off. Like you do know you can't save. You're not responsible for what happened to them that led them in the legal system to be with you. You didn't cause that, and you can't fix it. You can't fix it. You can't, you want to, but you can't. And nor can you control what the judge is going to do, or the Crown is going to do, or anything, witnesses. You can, but you can just show up with your own humility about that and recognizing that and try and remember, because you might forget from time to time. So if you have it kind of, these self-care wheels that you're going to get are kind of helpful to remind you. It's never too early to talk to someone or to seek help. So if you do start to feel really like burnt out, or I can't even get my mind around this, I don't even know. That doesn't mean that you're not cut out for it. Maybe actually it's not the best fit for you, but you probably won't know that for a long time. But it's okay if it isn't. You can leave. It's not, it's not the mafia. You can leave. You can do something different. And lawyers can go into different areas of practice. I practiced criminal defense. I loved it, but I also became a mom, and I didn't want to be on call anymore. I didn't want to. So I did civil litigation too. So then I did that. And then I was home with my kids because I had a few. And then I thought, well, geez, I don't want to be at the office all the time. I want to hang out with those guys for a few years. So when I came back, I went into family law. I'd never practiced family law. And I did that the last 10 years, and I became a mediator. It was all wonderful. You can always change your path. That's the beauty of law. It touches every aspect of society. And you know what you come out of law school with? The tools how to find the answers, not knowing the answers, but that you can find solutions. And that's what you get really good at. You get good at researching, you get good at finding solutions. So it's never too early or too late to talk to someone or to seek help. And it's better if you do it sooner, because then you're not so exhausted. You can seek help through the counseling services offered through our EAP program, and that's completely confidential. The Law Society never knows who reaches out for help. And you can do the same by giving us a call or an email anytime you like. And you can talk to me, you can come down for tea, you can come for a walk, go to the run group, get one-on-one peer matching. We connect people with that. And you know what, if you find that you're someone that just fell into, the drinking and stuff that happens, it happens. And one of our peer support volunteers, well, we have a number of them, but we have an AA lawyers group, and they meet every week and support each other in their sobriety, in their, in their efforts to that. So again, we've got you. It's never too early and it's never too late, and you won't find judgment here. Okay. So sharing all of that, I think we've got it now. Studies show boundaries and autonomy are really useful. What you don't have right now is very much autonomy. Okay. You will get more of it. It gets better. The autonomy gets better, but even then, autonomy means you can choose how you spend your time and when you spend it. But the reality is work is going to kind of dictate that even when you're your own boss. Okay, so just know that having flexibility is very helpful. And the boundaries, knowing that communicating if something is going on in your life, totally tell somebody, and don't bear it by yourself. And if you're worried about your buddy, like something's happening with them, you see a change in their behavior, that's a whole other course in itself, but don't be afraid to ask them if they're okay. Don't be afraid. Assertiveness, not aggressiveness. So lawyers, you would think, I thought lawyers would be so assertive. Guess what? only about a third of lawyers are rank well in assertiveness. Aggression, maybe, if depending on which area you happen to be in. But assertiveness is actually realizing when you've had enough, but being able to communicate that and not feel terrible for having limits, because you've got like what's enough. When it's enough, it's enough. And it's hard to get over that. I still struggle with feeling guilty. If for some reason I can't do the work day that I thought I was going to have to do because something's come up, maybe a health issue or something, I still kind of don't feel really great about that. But sometimes we have to say, look, this is what it is right now. We gotta take a pause. Or someone gives you some extra files. We talked about this last week, remember? And you come in and you're like, okay, you got 10 files or 20 or whatever, and you've got it all there. You've made a table. You know when everything's done. You got your columns, file, lawyer, things you have to do, deadline. Perfect. You've got it going. Someone comes in and says, hello, here's a trial coming up on Tuesday or something. You're like, so communication is key. And this is where assertiveness comes in. By that, you don't have to say, get out of my office, but you can say at your stage, okay, here's what I have going on here. And I have these things. How should you think I should prioritize this? Like, can you help me figure out where to put this? See what kind of response you get. Honestly, the senior lawyers probably have no idea what you're doing for other people. So you're really doing them a favor. And that may be the case with legal aid, and it for sure will be the case in private practice, I guarantee it. Okay, so just thinking about communication helps. And it does help that you don't feel like you have to say yes to everybody all the time, okay? You want to do your best job. Yes, yes, yes. Even to clients, watch out, right? Because clients sometimes can take too. You need boundaries too, and right now, if you're on call, you're on call. But if you're not on call, it's okay that you have a boundary that you will check your emails when you come back to work tomorrow morning. And that's okay. And I think it's okay to say that on your signature line in your email, but you can take direction from the office that you're at. Some lawyers are starting to do that now, which is new, by the way. That was unheard of before. So the culture is changing, but some lawyers are saying, in private practice, at least I've seen, I don't typically check my emails in the evening. I'll respond during my business hours, and these are my business hours. I don't expect a response from you outside of your work hours. I've seen that. I thought, that's genius. What a good idea. But we never did that stuff before. So you can see there's ways of doing it. But these things we know help. And so for you, you need to just feel like you have enough control over your work and life, and communication will help that. Taking care of your health and taking time to do that as a priority is going to help that a lot. When I say psychological detachment, separating your cases from yourselves, do you guys have the ability to not check your emails at night? Yeah, that's wonderful. So you may, if you go into private practice in a smaller firm, that may be totally cool. And in a bigger firm, you may find there's still a different culture that hasn't changed yet. When you run those firms, you can change them. But last time I checked, that hasn't changed yet. Now, I know criminal lawyers, I know some in their 70s, they have practiced criminal law for like 50 years, and they just check their emails every day, 365, it works for them. I don't know how, but I just, everybody is different, but I wouldn't recommend it. That's coming from a culture where work is number one, always, always, always. That is that generation. First, and people take pride in it, like the long hours. And there's nothing wrong with long hours. Okay, work isn't a bad thing, and stress isn't a bad thing. That's where we grow, right? That's where we learn, we achieve. And it's the hard work, those hard things when we do a good job that give us our self-esteem and our pride. So bring it. Bring the hard, bring it. But take breaks. And you need to refresh, you need sleep, you need health. And when I say put your health first, does anyone feel they're so busy right now, it's super hard to keep up with any exercise or health routine? Yeah. And so the idea is you're going to sacrifice everything for your success, how you define your success in the profession. So what I'd like you to do is after today is go and quietly write down on a piece of paper or something where you can see it, how you would define success, not, and then ask yourself why you define it that way. Does your definition of success come from something else, someone else, external to you? Because remember, one definition of success is being happy. Life goes by too fast. We don't know how long we have, okay? So you want to bring it, work hard, but also enjoy it. And sacrificing your health, honestly, that's a dinosaur. To me, I know way too much since I've taken on this job. It's so, you will be a better lawyer if you make time for your exercise, doesn't matter what it is. My husband's a civil litigator still. He was a criminal lawyer and civil, and he hasn't done criminal law for quite some time, but he is a busy practice. He has his own law firm, and he is the best at the boundaries when it comes to putting his health first. He's not always the best with the emotional boundaries. He gets worn out too after 30 some odd years, but he's an excellent lawyer. But he always got that workout in. I don't know how. I have to do it in the morning or I just fade away. I can't do it in the evening. He is so disciplined. He will work out at 9 o'clock at night if he needs to. And he would tell you, no matter how busy you are, you too can find half an hour to work out. And you can find 5 minutes to whip around the block on your lunch hour. If you don't have an hour, you don't need it. Because exercise is cumulative all day long. So let's talk about this one. I've probably told you guys about this before if I saw you in law school. These are little tricks, okay? So just calling your attention to them. The deep breathing. When you walk into court, when you walk in to meet your client, when you're driving to the office, all of these moments are times for these diaphragmatic breath. Your diaphragm is right here. You want to do we'll just do it. I've done this before with you guys. You've seen me in law school. So, but it's super cool. So think about how you're feeling right now. You're listening to me. You're probably getting tired now. We're getting close to an hour and talking a long time. Put your hand here. We're just going to do 2. And I just want you can close your eyes or not, doesn't matter. But I want you to breathe in for 4, hold for 4 and let it out. Okay, so let's do it together. Ready? Hold. Now let's do it again. One more. Breathe in. Hold. Okay. Don't close your eyes if you're driving, but you can do the breathing part while you're driving. And I do it all the time. And I learned this technique when I was going through burnout. And that's when I had to start getting into my wellness and boundaries. And I was my own boss. So it could happen no matter, it can happen early, late, or may never happen because you're learning all these things now. So that's kind of something you can think of. And does anyone feel just even 2 breaths, just a little bit of an unclenching? Just a little bit. So you can't help it. Your body's wired that way. It will settle your nervous system. Think about your 5 senses. If you're having trouble settling or focusing, take 5, take 60 seconds. It can be 60 seconds. And just think 5 things you see, 4 things you hear, 3 things you feel. Just do something. Take a pen, move it across. And it just, if you take this time, your brain gets kind of distracted from the anxieties. And these are things to help calm anxiety. They can also help with your clients. And then finally, gratitude thinking. Replace have to with get to. Watch how you talk to yourself. Watch how you talk to yourself. If it's like, oh my gosh, it's going to be like so brutal and I'm going to, so yeah, like we do some of that or whatever. And maybe we say that to our friends and a little bit of boasting about how hard our job is, bragging rights, right? But if you watch that though, watch your gratitude thinking and you think about it, I get to go to work today. I get to learn something new. I get to be stressed, but then I get to feel better after when I have my workout in or my walkout, whatever. But think about gratitude thinking. And if you cannot sleep at night or you wake in the night, think about 10 things you're grateful for and do your slow breathing and see if that helps you. So just People who kept a gratitude journal for 3 weeks suddenly found they had more focus, they felt better, they felt less stressed. So this is all this stuff I'm giving you is just stuff I've learned from here. So we're going to keep going with this one. So the idea is balance. It doesn't mean a certain amount of time doing anything. Sometimes balance means you're working Tuesday and Thursday nights, okay? But hey, I don't want you to ever work Friday night unless you're on call, okay? Or Saturday night. And you should try and take a day off on the weekend. But balance sometimes in trial, you're going to go, but you still need breaks. So balance can look differently at any given time. And don't be afraid of the work, but just are you balancing? And that's where this kind of wheel, just taking a minute for your physical health, for your psychological, well, you're getting lots of that with the work, but emotional, having a laugh with a buddy, a conversation with a buddy. These things help keep you going. Spiritual, if you have faith, you're the lucky ones. But if you're not part of that kind of community, which can really help, it's okay. You just need to find your meaning and your higher appeal to your own highest ideal of what you want the world to look like, what you want, how you want to show up. Connect to that part of yourself. Okay, empathy. Oops, one more. Okay, oops. Yeah, so when I talk about compassion fatigue, for those of us that are very sensitive to people's feelings and big-hearted and really want to help people, we do have that risk of the secondary trauma. And so this is one of the reasons they've actually found that your circuits in your brain while you listen to someone tell their story they're firing very similarly to the person who is sharing their experience of trauma. So knowing that is why you need to be proactive about taking care of your emotional well-being, physical, spiritual. The professional, I think, will take care of itself if you keep good boundaries around it. If it takes over too much, you might find you just don't think as well. You're not as efficient. So just pay attention to that. Reflect on what matters to you. Let's talk about what we left off with last week, okay? We did our why, and then we talked about self-care just a little bit. Did anybody try to kind of do something each day or do something in a week? Did anyone set a goal for themselves to kind of try something that we talked about? Anybody?
I can start. I think I did leave last time just before we went through that. I had to leave for court, but I did try to do some more exercises the past week, and and that felt really good. Yeah, even though it took extra time and I had to put other things aside to do it. So
Yeah, good. What time of the day worked for you? How are you able to?
I did them in the evenings. I'm just not, when I wake up in the morning, I'm very tired. So
Yeah, you're like my husband. He always has an evening, but way to go, because that takes some discipline. It certainly does. But you did feel better.
I did feel much better. Yeah.
Okay. Does anyone else have one that they want to share? I'm mindful of the time.
If you're online, feel free to unmute yourself.
Put it in.
Speak up.
Unmute or chat or put it in the chat or something.
Yeah, I'm watching the chat.
Okay. Okay. So it doesn't matter what it is. If you said something every day, I would love it if you would try that. Doing something every day. You're going to get one of these self-care wheels. So the different elements, and it doesn't have to be equal time in each quadrant. Okay. So one of these shows you examples of things that you and only you alone might want to put in there, but you put in whatever it is for you. This is your own baby. And you can make new ones from you want. All you need is a piece of paper and a circle. Okay. So there's a blank one that, and it's physical, psychological, so professional. We certainly get that, intellectual stimulation, but how we think too. So if we're thinking very negatively, we're thinking I can't do this. If we're thinking everything's going to be kind of catastrophizing, well, that's a psychological. So that is a thought thing. And guess what? You're not stuck with that. You can think different things. And there's people you can talk to can help you do that. And you can always come and talk to me too. Emotional, friendships, relationships, laughing please don't lose your sense of humor. It's so serious what we do. It's okay to laugh. Do stuff that whatever you like. If you like an instrument, if you like a dancing, if you whatever, it doesn't matter. Family, going to your grandmother, it's all good.
Yeah, one of the students wrote here, I work out with a personal trainer 3 times a week in lieu of counseling or therapy. It
Wow.
helps with the stress of articling.
Hey, well done. Who was that?
Laughlin.
Way to go. That's fantastic. So it is possible, and you're still here and your work is still here. So in fact, we feel like there's no way we can do it, but that we absolutely can. Okay. That's my timer that telling me not to go on and on. So I would love you to create your own well-being wheel. This was developed actually to help people who suffer trauma. But it's internationally used, the self-care wheel. And the Institute for Wellbeing in Law has free resources and free things too, but it adapts this like for lawyers. It's the same wheel, basically. So just try and keep those things through it. Do stuff that gives you joy. Do not let a day go by, or at least 2 days, okay? So even if it's really tough, you get, this is it. Maybe there's something else, but whatever. What you have is today. That's what you for sure know you have. So you should find a little joy and a little lightness, and you can, but you might have to practice it if it doesn't come naturally to you. And you enjoy the joy of learning and the joy of being part of this incredible legal system we have with a charter that like the world looks to for examples in human rights. Like it's a privilege, I tell you. Aren't we the lucky ones? Right? We're the lucky ones that get to serve. And then keep your humility. Keep your humility with yourself, compassion with each other, patient, and with your clients. And ask those questions and learn. Your clients have much to teach you, I think. And so it's always evolving, and so are you. So keep in mind that I'm glad a couple of you shared that you had a little goal and you did it. So everyone set your own goal. Like right this week, you make your own, but make it a timeline. Like say this week I want to work out 3 times. Or this week I want to go for a walk at lunch hour once. Doesn't matter. It's like start baby steps, but do them. Set a daily goal would be even better. This week I'm going to go home and I'm going to think about leaving work at work. And I'm going to spend 15 minutes, an hour, whatever you have, doing absolutely nothing. Not looking at your phone though, because that's entertaining. And yes, I like Instagram, but try and leave that to the end because you actually get, it's healthier for you to have a little more stillness in nature and activity, movement and social connection. But the Instagram and those kind of entertainment little things, watching a show, those are great too. But just try and keep that in balance too. Okay. Otherwise you can feel depleted. See this little thing right here, professional quality of life scale. I want, Catherine can send you that little thing. She's got these slides, but this is a quiz you can do. It takes you about 5 minutes. And I would love it if you would all do it. Okay, we don't have time for you to do it with me right now. But if you just go do it, it won't take long. You do it online. It tells you if you're close to burnout, if it's all over. You can get burnout at any time, but you can also get better at any time. So, but wouldn't it be cool if you could prevent it? And so see if you can prevent it. So every once in a while, every month, check in on yourself. How's it going? And this will give you a bit of a scale and it'll ask you questions and it forces you to think. And that's one way you can do it. Okay. What's on your plate is just another way. Like you write down all the things on your plate and it helps you see if you're way too busy and no wonder you're exhausted. Okay. Just different exercises. You can reach out to us anytime you want. To talk about any of these things, but the professional quality of life skill I would like you to do. I'm just going to give you a warning. When you get to the website, it's an internationally used tool. It's very well regarded, but it is designed for folks who have experienced trauma. And so you may see, like you'll see on the website, for people who've experienced torture, for example, you may think, why is she sending me to this website? But that's where it's developed. So it's the professional quality of life scale. It's a super cool thing. And you can see how you're doing and see if it changes throughout your articling year, you know? If you set a reminder on your phone to check it in 3 months or something, or every month. So peer support, you know all about that now, being matched. We have a lawyers group too, if anyone has any substance issues, or if you have a buddy, you know, you're not sure, you're kind of worried about them, they're coming in Wednesday with a hangover, you know, it's okay to ask, and it's okay to reach out and talk to us. We're always here for you. I'm training some more lawyers next week, actually. So, we have we're here. We've only been around for a few years. So we've grown, we're always confidential. We welcome you as volunteers when, you know, at a time of your life down the road, when you feel like you have that capacity, we would love it because we're stronger together. Yeah. Does anyone have any questions? Anything on the chat?
Further on the chat. So if anyone online has anything they want to add, you can either unmute yourselves and speak up or put it in the chat.
Okay, great. And remember, for trauma-informed resources, if you want to read more about it, you can just reach out to me. You've all got our cards, and I can give you some more resources. Because there's other, like to make this presentation, I read different things. One of them is this book, Trauma-Informed Law, which anybody can borrow. We have a lending library at Lawyer Strong, so anyone can borrow it. But there's also online resources too, so specifically for lawyers to work in a more trauma-informed way. So if you want any more resources, you know, you can always just reach out, or you're curious about anything. I hope any of you would feel comfortable to reach out to us. Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad I didn't have to run off like.
I still gotta run off. I'm more prepared.
There, just playing. Thanks. Okay. Okay, thanks.
Okay, so again, if anybody has anything that they want to ask or comment on, again, feel free to unmute yourselves online, speak if you're present. Otherwise, I just wanted to take a minute to again thank Tamara for joining us. This is becoming a regular thing. We are having Tamara come in every year to make our students familiar with the programming that Lawyer Strong can provide. It's an important tool and resource for everyone. Mental health is becoming, like when I first started, then no one cared, suck it up and get it done. But we are starting to look at things a little bit differently. So as Tamara said, it's fairly new. So the younger generations are the ones that are going to end up implementing a lot of this. But we in management are through legal aid are really trying to make sure that we reach out to our students. So everyone is aware that these resources exist. As far as we're concerned, a healthier group with legal aid, it makes us all stronger. So thank you very much, Tamara, for joining us. A little round of applause. Here, I wanted to.
Oh, you need to give me a gift.
Yes.
Thank you to come.
Thank you.
So the gift.
All right, and as I told everyone before, we are recording these sessions. We're having a little glitch with our YouTube channel, so systems is working on that. And as soon as I'm able to, I will distribute the link to both sessions. So if anyone didn't catch last week's session, we will have everybody have the access to those. Okay.
Yeah, great. And you're all always welcome at any of our, like, come up for a walk on Mondays from the porch, or just come for a cup of tea, or you want a phone call or a Teams. You know what? Reach out anytime. It's always confidential, and I always love hearing from you.
Great. Thanks everyone for joining us. Have a great day.